Disney Skyliner was down for over an hour. They were doing some repairs, it had broken down, whatever. And apparently this woman was not happy that she had to wait for them to repair it before she could ride it. And she just started screaming profanities. F-bomb this, F-bomb that. And when people were like, hey, it's frustrating, but can you chill out? Like, one, you're just annoying, but also there's a lot of like really tiny children here. That's how she reacted. She starts like shoving her hand with the middle finger up in people's faces.
Disney has pledged $2 million to Israel humanitarian relief. And while they do speak out against anti-Semitism, which is important, they've said nothing about the ongoing, and I do mean active and ongoing, genocide of the Palestinian people. Absolutely nothing.
Karen tried to get on the ride from the exit.
No!
I've been waiting for someone to do a deep dive into this really interesting subculture of Disney adults, how they pay for it, why they do it.
Day one of paying off our Disney trip in June and then onto our debt. So we owe about $15,000 on our Disney trip coming up in June.
30 seconds, and all the other cast members have gotten involved, and they've said, okay, stand up for me, stand up straight, make sure you're not on your tippy toes. Oh yeah, she's good, she's good. They, didn't even get down and look. No, stuck her finger in there and said, that's her hair. Absolutely.
Hey guys, I am finally back on my personal channel. I think it's been a little over 2 weeks at this point. So glad to be back. I was very busy on my main channel, but I am very excited to make this video because I would say within a few days of uploading my Disney Adults video, where I basically talked about adults that really love Disney. They go on a very regular basis to live out their childhood that maybe they didn't have, or they've always wanted to go to Disney, and ever since they went for the first time, they've just really enjoyed going. I also included adults, one of which was going trick-or-treating, and she was a grown-up. And I also shared parents getting gifts from usually their children, and oftentimes it was children who were first generation, and they would give their parents dolls or action figures. And it was toys they never got to have growing up because life was just so different for them than their children. And it's like, now that their children have been given the life that they have because of their parents, the children want to get back to their parents, and so they give them something that they didn't get to have in their childhood. And that video, as of now, is sitting a little over 4,000 views, which is really good for this channel. Typically, I'm lucky to get 1,000 views, and I also gained some subscribers from that video, so I want to say thank you guys so much. Oh, I also talked about cringe culture and how I feel like people are so scared to be cringe and make mistakes that they hold themselves back. I shared a professor talking about it with their own students. I feel like that was probably one of the most passionate parts of the video for me, because as someone that I've definitely felt like I was too cringe and things like that in my life, especially in middle school. I sometimes look back and cringe. I'm like, I honestly needed to go through that part of my life to become the person that I am today. And there's nothing wrong with being cringe as long as you're not hurting yourself or anyone else in the process. But anyway, today what we're going to be doing is, I'm pretty sure I'm going to call this video the Unhinged Adults of Disney. I don't want to call them Disney adults, and I'm curious how y'all will feel about this in the comments, but I think my opinion on this is, I feel like labeling all Disney adults as bad, or putting Disney adults as this like negative thing, I don't really know. I mean, I guess the people I really want to hear from are those that are adults that enjoy Disney. Would you be offended if someone called you a Disney adult? Do you think being called a Disney adult should be like this negative connotation? I'm curious, because again, I haven't been to Disney. Disney adult, it's definitely turned into this like unhinged, negative, badly behaved adult that is at Disney that can't seem to grow up. I know if I ever witnessed an adult by themselves at Disney, I would not feel the need to say anything to them or make them feel weird about that. I don't know. Or if I saw like a group of adults at Disney. I will say today I'm going to be showing the more negative aspects of Disney, and I'm just going to call these people unhinged adults, because to me, I see it as there's Disney adults who enjoy it, and then there's just adults that behave worse than children. Like, at least with children, they're, you know, learning how to regulate their emotions. They're children, okay? But these adults act like children, and they exist. I am not denying that. I think people were thinking I see your comments, ladies. I see them.
This one's for all my baby girls. I see your comments, ladies, and they make me smile. I'm lurking and I'm stalking when you least expect it. But lately, I've just been taking care of my business and getting my grind on. But I promise you, I'll be back to play.
No, but I saw y'all's comments. Some people agreed with me, some people disagreed. And today we're going to be addressing constructive criticism of my video or just people that disagreed, okay? Before we get into that, I have saved many TikToks of unhinged adults. Honestly, not even quotations, they're just unhinged. Disneyland Karen yelling at cast member, here we go. It looks like this woman was called in because this lady was being so hostile, so not good.
That's exactly. Get that video in the park too. Right. And you said till 3:30.
She said, and you said till 3:30, so it sounds like some timing thing did not match up to what this Karen was expecting. But I feel like at Disney you gotta run a tight ship when it comes to the timing of things. Oh god, I hate when people do this. The cast member has to stay in character. I don't know which cast member, and hell, maybe this person is making it up on TikTok, but the fact that this person, who is she again? She says who she is. She is the guest service manager for the attractions. I just can't stand when someone's irritated and they're like, so what's your position here? Automatically demeaning you, feeling like you don't know anything. Like, you're just here to ruin my Disney experience. You don't know anything. I just hate that. I think they have a certain... So sorry, I'm having to, like, decipher this video. It's really loud. The music in the background is so loud. It sounds like they had a certain kind of pass and it wasn't being accommodated or something. So this person is basically saying, that's talking to this Karen, you know, there's only so much she can do. And, you know, given that I don't know the full context of this, maybe something did go wrong, right? But it's never okay to be yelling in people's faces. That's the problem here. And just to be very demeaning and being like, well, what's your title, you know? And oh, well, if that's your title, then why can't you fix this problem that we're having? I honestly don't know if I'm gonna watch the rest of this because it's really hard to make out what she's saying, but let's see if I can make out a few more things. I will say that I feel like if this was a really bad problem, more people would be upset. I find it interesting that it's just this particular woman that is like really mad. Because I know I've been in situations, like especially with concert venues. Have you guys ever been to a concert and the security, just getting in the venue is like a nightmare? It's happened to me 1 or 2 times and everybody was irritated, but I will say this, nobody was yelling in their face. Like, you can tell someone, hey, I really don't like this experience. I really don't feel like this was handled well, without yelling in their face, you know? Here comes somebody else. Oh my god. It's usually never a good sign when like all the managers assemble like the Avengers, okay? This lady's reaction is telling me everything I need to know. It's like, you know, your position, you can't do anything. Like, you're just not high enough in the hierarchy to do anything. Like, just so demeaning. I feel like, again, this could just be handled so much better without putting this worker down. Particular instance, AT&T. I don't know if anyone else has AT&T. I've had really bad experiences with AT&T, to be honest, and I will be changing when my phone is paid off. What I have realized is that oftentimes the anger you have towards employees that maybe don't understand, like the frustration you have when they tell you one thing and then you actually go through with it and it turns out to be totally different. Like, I've had situations where I've been told you're gonna pay this price, and then every single month you have to call them and tell them, hey, my bill went up for no reason, right? I have realized that oftentimes it's because the people that are working at these AT&T locations, particularly near me, they aren't trained properly. I know for a fact the recent experience I had with AT&T, their manager was terrible. If they had a problem, they would have to call this manager. He wasn't there a lot. Like, the workers had to go through so much to get answers if they did not know from their manager. So it's like, you've got to serve these people at AT&T in a timely manner. And if your manager isn't helping you and you don't know what to do, what do you do in that situation? You give the best advice you can, but even then it could still be wrong, you know? And so really what that anger needs to be at is not the person I was interacting with that was helping me that just didn't know any better. It's, where's the manager that's supposed to train them? Sometimes the anger is definitely misplaced on people that genuinely can't do anything about it. Like, mistakes happen, but I feel like as an adult, you have to think of the bigger picture, and you have a right to be frustrated, but you're not going to get in people's faces and yell and throw a tantrum, especially in front of your kids. They've already told you they can't do anything, and she offered for her to go to a different manager. I think it was like the overseer of the rides or something. I don't know the titles at Disney, but just do that next. You know, I know it's easier said than done sometimes, because you envision kind of, you know, how your experience is going to be and when that gets messed up, but that's kind of part of life. So, and I'm not saying she shouldn't get what she paid for. She should, absolutely, but there's a better way to handle it, right? Okay. Disney Skyliner has been broken for an hour. She is MFing everyone. Oh my god. Okay, this is another thing. Using horrible language at Disney. Like, where children are everywhere. Okay, yeah, the Disney adults are there too, but children are there. My dad, would you ride an airplane that was broken? And everyone cheered. I mean, I think I've had 2 incidents actually, so really not that many, where the plane was not ready. Like, it had a delay because it needed maintenance done on it. And as frustrating as it is to know you're gonna have to wait like an hour, 2+ hours, I'm not getting on a plane that is not fully functioning, okay? Like, that is literally one of my biggest fears. That's why I don't like to travel that much, honestly. I would much rather that plane or the ride be in top-notch condition than wing it and end up, well, I mean, yeah, that's totally valid explanation. But this person goes on to explain this video a little better on TikTok.
This is why when so many people hear Disney adult, they just cringe.
And she's flicking people off.
So, backstory on that, if you didn't see like the little blurb in the beginning. The Disney Skyliner was down for over an hour. They were doing some repairs, it had broken down, whatever. And apparently this woman was not happy that she had to wait for them to repair it before she could ride it. And she just started screaming profanities. F on this, F on that.
Lord.
And people were like, hey, it's frustrating, but can you chill out? Like, one, you're just annoying, but also there's a lot of like really tiny children here.
Yeah.
That's how she reacted. Starts like shoving her hand with the middle finger up in people's faces, which first off, you put your hand in my face, we're done. You're at Disney World, okay? You can be upset, you can be frustrated. I would be frustrated too. But everyone's in the same boat. Chill the
Yeah.
Also, I've never understood getting like mad like this about a ride being broken down and wanting to ride it right at that second. I don't want to ride something that's broken. I will wait forever for you to fix it before I get on it. If they're that enthusiastic on wanting to ride a broken ride, maybe we just get these people to start signing waivers and let them go crazy.
Honestly, no, I just see this as an unhinged adult. And it's like, how does this lady, I'm sorry, let me not call her a lady, how does this woman, how does she deal with actual issues in her life? Does she just like automatically blow up like this? Because I understand the wait times are very long. I've never been, but I know the wait times can be very long, especially if you don't have like a fast pass or whatever they call it. You know, you've been waiting and then the ride breaks. That's frustrating. Again, what do you want them to do? And giving the finger in a child-friendly park is crazy. Okay, so here's another one. It says, Karen freaks out at Disney World. Watch until the end.
And respond to that video.
Okay, girl.
Now, I have not seen the video. You can tell that this Karen in the video is actually videotaping this cast member. From what I can tell from this bystander's video is that this woman is upset.
And also, sorry, but as an adult, the children there are in this magical experience, and some adults, but like the children, for some of the children there, they might really think that these cast members are like the real Snow White or the real whoever, right? So what do you mean a cast member does something you don't like and your first instinct is to yell at them when they're supposed to be in character? Like, do you know how hard it is for them to like try to stay in character when you're yelling in their face? Like, you're ruining the children's experience by doing this, and you're also making the cast members, who allegedly they're not getting paid a lot, which we're going to talk about that later, because I am going to be addressing some more serious comments at the end of this video, because I know a lot of people have let me know, which I did know some of this, but some of it I was unaware of, so apologies. But you know, one of the big things was the really just horrible pay of the cast members. Allegedly, Disney does not play about, you know, people speaking bad about them and stuff, so I'm not going to play that game. I understand, you know, any criticism of that, because I absolutely agree. You know, like many huge corporations, there is a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? It's capitalism central for these big corporations, right? Like, they thrive off of that. I understand that. We'll be addressing that later.
As she left her stroller somewhere, went on a ride, and when she came out, her stroller was moved. I'm guessing that this is her first time that she has ever been to Disney World. So, I just want to jump on here and say a couple of things. First off, I hope she sees all the videos that's gone viral. It's been shared thousands of times. I hope she sees it and she sees how stupid she looks. I mean, she looks absolutely ridiculous. Second, there are...
Oh, also, this lady's caption, sorry, I keep pausing it, but it says, this Disney adult had to respond to this Karen video. So, some Disney adults, it seems, they don't take the name Disney adult offensively. And I just feel like Disney adult versus an unhinged adult are two different things, but that's just me personally. I think Disney adults have gotten a bad rap, which there's actually a comment about that I'm going to read probably at the very end of this video, because I feel like it encapsulates all of my thoughts on this entire Disney adult conversation perfectly. But, okay, anyway, let's continue. Sorry.
Busy day. There can be up to 50,000 people that visit Magic Kingdom alone, and that's where she's at.
It's wild.
There are designated cast members, and their job is strictly to move strollers to the designated stroller park.
Okay, this makes perfect sense, because if people are just leaving their strollers everywhere, that's a hazard. Like, if something happens in the park, God forbid, but if something happens and everybody needs to get out, okay, and also, I mean, if 50,000 people are in Magic Kingdom alone in a day, then it needs to be where people can easily get around. You don't need overcrowding, because that could get dangerous really fast, especially with small children. That makes sense that they would have a designated stroller area, so there's not a million strollers in the way. Also, I'm so sorry it got so bright all of a sudden. The sun is right in my face. So what do you mean you're complaining about your stroller being moved when it was in the way? Like, don't they tell you this when you get a stroller? Like, hey, here's your stroller. When you go through the park, there's designated stroller areas, and if you don't put it there, like a cast member will put it there for you, just so you know. Like, they're trying to make your life easier. I wish I had these kinds of problems. Do people not have real life problems? I'm seriously asking. What do you mean this sent you over the edge? People are also wearing very inappropriate shirts to Disneyland. Let's just look at this one. What is going on? Why could you not pick literally any other shirt? And that's another thing. I've also seen people wearing like very short shorts, very short skirts. Even as myself, someone that, you know, every now and then I like to show some skin. I like to look, you know, a little sexy, right? But when I would go to work when I was working with children, that was not the time. There is a time and a place. When you are going to be around children, I'm not saying you have to cover up like just your shoulders and stuff. You know, I know that was a thing at the school I worked at. It was like you couldn't wear anything that revealed your shoulders unless it had a collar on it. How that changes anything, I guess it makes it look more professional. I don't know. But, you know, stuff like that, I don't really mind. But if your whole bottom is out around children, that's a problem. And I'm not usually someone that comments on what someone chooses to wear when they are out in public, because that's their decision. But if you're going to be around a lot of children, especially if they're like at that level, please be considerate. That's all I'm saying. And with this is inappropriate. I feel like a better shirt could have been picked for this occasion, personally. All right, here's another Karen. It says, Karen tried to get on the ride from the exit. And she's got her child. This is what kills me. Why bring your child into your foolishness? This child probably, I mean, she looks like a toddler, so she probably won't remember this, but for the kids that are old enough to remember, it's got to be embarrassing for them. I've been in situations, not with my parents, but with other adults where they have acted a fool, and it was really embarrassing for me. Okay? It happened to me in a Subway once, and I was so embarrassed. Like, why are we talking to Subway workers like they are the scum of the earth?
Karen tried to get on the ride from the exit.
Unhinged adult. Unhinged adult. And notice how she doesn't fit the typical Disney adult stereotype. She has a child. But I feel like this toddler would behave better than her in this situation, right? Like, she's obviously not going to Disney for just her, but I don't know, in this moment, it seems like she was wanting to ride that ride more than her toddler, so, you know. Anyway, so she storms off. She's yelling at them to call someone. I'm sorry that the audios on this are not very good. I feel like between the noise of the rides and, you know, just the amount of people around and the music, it is really hard to hear audio in these clips. I apologize, but yeah, she's like, you need to call somebody. There is a child at the front of this line, and she is looking like, what is wrong with this woman? When a child looks at you like that, that's when you know you are doing too much, and you need to start to act like an actual adult. Seriously? I mean, come on now. Oh my god, she just yelled F you at the person videotaping her. If you're gonna act a fool, I will say, I don't like when people record people in public without their consent, but if you are acting a pure fool and you expect people to not react to that, I don't know what to tell you. Happiest place on earth, and a fight is happening. A fight in front of children. Thank you to this person that blurred all the children's faces. I've seen so many TikToks where they don't blur the children's face. What is this, Star Wars? I'm so sorry. I tried to watch Star Wars once and I couldn't get into it, but it looks like there's some kind of like demonstration going on, and then an adult interrupts it and just makes herself look like a total dum-dum. I think she touches what's-his-face. Why are you touching the cast member? Aren't you not supposed to touch them unless you like ask for a hug and then they give you a hug? Like, if they're performing or doing something, aren't you not supposed to touch them? All these children are lined up, literally just standing there, behaving more than she does, might I add. Actually behaving unlike her. Yeah, she touches... Why am I not remembering his name? It's not Yoda. God help me. Alright, next one.
They have like 5 seconds to check her height on the wall. They say no.
They have 30 seconds, and all the other cast members have gotten involved, and they've said, okay.
Oh, okay. I remember this one. You know how you have to be a certain height to ride certain rides? I think this might be her dad. He's saying that, you know, one person said it was okay, but then they double checked her height, and then she wasn't tall enough.
Make sure you're not on your tippy toes. Oh, yeah, she's good. She's good. They, no, you know, didn't even get down and look. No, stuck her finger in there and said that's her hair.
I feel like if people check multiple times this child's height and they still say no, don't you want your child to be safe? If they're not tall enough for the ride, don't do it. Like, it's happened to me as a kid, and I was really disappointed. Like, I don't remember it, but I know it's happened because my mom has told me. But, like, your parents should want you to be safe. The little bit of disappointment is more worth it than your child being harmed on a ride, right? Okay, so this is a much more serious part of this video, and I absolutely agree with these types of comments. So I used to have Disney Plus. Again, never been to Disney World or Disneyland, but I did have Disney Plus, and I used it for the school I worked at. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I used it for a little bit after I worked there, but I noticed I wasn't really using it. And on top of that, a lot of people started to boycott Disney. People stopped going to Disneyland, Disney World, just anything Disney related. And when I saw that they were contributing to this
makes sense. You're donating $2 million towards humanitarian efforts to people in Israel. But considering the circumstance where there's individuals within the same vicinity experiencing apartheid, genocide, being bombed constantly, having hospitals blown up, in addition to that, being in an open air prison, not able to evacuate, and just having their lives held in some balance, controlled by a very oppressive regime, but there's no donation going towards those specific individuals.
I do want to talk about it because it's probably the most important part of this video. I'm going to talk more in depth about what people choose to boycott and how boycotting is being handled online, because I definitely think there's two extremes when it comes to boycotting. So I'll talk more about that, but I am going to share this video about a comment that someone left on someone's TikTok. It says, "Wait, why are we boycotting Disney? I can't keep up with all the boycotts," and this will explain why.
I got you. We're boycotting Disney because of their contributions to the Iowa Israel's war crimes and for the liberation of Palestine. Since October 7th, Disney has pledged $2 million to Israel in humanitarian relief. And while they do speak out against anti-Semitism, which is important, they've said nothing about the ongoing, and I do mean active and ongoing, genocide of the Palestinian people. Absolutely nothing. And since none of these corporations actually listen to the words leaving people's mouths, the best way to talk is with our dollars, and that's by holding on to them. And I get it, there's a lot of protest, there's a lot of news, and there are lots of boycotts to keep up with.
There definitely has to be some nuance when we talk about boycotts. Boycotting, there's definitely privilege that comes with it. However, I feel like some things are easier to boycott than others. It really depends on your lifestyle, your financial situation, where you live. There's so many aspects to it. So I do think some of the conversations when it comes to boycotting are kind of showing people's privilege. And then I feel like some people are just straight up like, I'm not going to boycott anything. I basically stand for nothing. There's two extremes. Some people immediately demonize those that genuinely have no other choice but to go places that are on a boycott list because they may not have a car. They don't have the money to go to places that are more expensive that are not on the boycott. And then, you know, some people just don't care. It's like they could choose options that are not on the boycott list, but they just don't care enough to do so. So I think there's problems on both sides for sure. But for me, it was like, the least I can do is cancel Disney Plus. There's actually a really great TikTok, I feel like, that summarizes how I feel. If I can find it, I will include it. I think I reposted it on my TikTok. I hope I can find it, but I'll include that here if I'm able to find it.
See, the problem with hot takes on the internet is they often lack nuance, and two things can be true at once. Is boycotting a privilege? Yes. Do people sometimes use that as an excuse to get out of doing things that are mildly inconvenient for them? Also yes. Is there such a thing as ethical consumption under capitalism? No. Does that give you the right to overconsume intentionally or to ignore all business practices? No. Do I personally try to boycott non-necessities from places that I know don't align with my values? Yes. Do I also understand that doesn't give me the right to vilify somebody who doesn't live the exact same way that I do? Yes. If you guys truly care about boycotting, you should care about bringing recognition and funding to mutual aid near you. Because the reason why boycotts were so successful in the past is because we had mutual aid networks that were designed to protect the average consumer who needed help in order to do this boycott. We're asking people to do the same thing that people did years and years ago, except the difference is they no longer have that help. They no longer have those resources.
The next thing that people were talking about in my comments on my part 1 of Disney Adults was people going into debt for Disney. I didn't really touch on that, but I have seen so many people being like, you know, why go in debt for this company? The debt that people like go in for an organization that it seems like doesn't really have those that make it so magical's best interest at heart. It's like, well, whatever gets people here and gets us money, we'll do it. But it seems as if, just like a lot of other big organizations or big companies or big franchises, you know, there's corruption going on. Allegedly. But come on now. I am totally aware that this is going on. Hence why I canceled my Disney Plus subscription, because that was the one way that I was contributing to Disney. I enjoy the Disney movies, but the good news is I have those on VHS, so I can watch those and, you know, not stream it, and it's fine, right? Which, let me just say, I highly recommend, like, if you really enjoy Disney, like, maybe get physical forms of media and watch that, you know, so you're not, like, using their streaming platforms. It really is up to the person, but I'm just saying, like, there's ways to get around it, you know? Buy stuff secondhand, like resellers. Now, sometimes they overcharge, but every now and then on like Facebook Marketplace you can get lucky, you know. But anyway, so this person's asking about the debt that people have at Disney. Some people, like I said in part 1, they save up for this, or they know that if they put something on a credit card, they can pay it off. But people that I feel like, which I did kind of touch on this in part 1, I don't think, especially if you have like kids and, you know, people that are relying on you to financially support them and care for them, you should not be recklessly spending money like this. Absolutely not. I don't recommend that. I can't, you know, I think I called it pocket watching. I try not to pocket watch people, but I do think, especially when you have people that are relying on you to care for them and provide for them. But to assume that every person that goes to Disney regularly has debt, I don't think that's true. I think some people genuinely love it so much that they work to go. I've done that. I used to work to go to concerts, okay? I would always spend my money on concerts. I don't do that as much anymore, but I did that in my early 20s.
I had the money that these Disney adults have to drop, to spend, to lose on needless plastic gadgets and gizmos aplenty. I would be rolling, baby.
This is now the second Disney adult commentary from a TikTok lawyer that I have been summoned to respond to.
And are dropping tens of thousands of dollars on an experience that looks to me like something I would wish upon my worst enemy gladly.
So let me see if I understand the prosecution here. Some Disney adults overspend. True. Some Disney adults judge other people's spending. Also probably true. Therefore, Disney adults are uniquely hypocritical. No, that just means some people are hypocritical. Congratulations, counselor. You've just discovered annoying people.
The same people going into this comment section talking about you waste your money on DoorDash versus the 85 ears that you have hanging on your wall.
So again, your argument here is some people judge DoorDash spending while spending money on Disney. So what you actually dislike is hypocrites, not Disney adults. And honestly, same. But using Disney adults as the container for that frustration is intellectually lazy. Seeing someone take Disney trips or buy collectibles tells you absolutely nothing about their finances. You have no idea what they make. You have no idea what they don't spend money on. Someone spending $8,000 a year on Disney may not drink, go clubbing, go on a ski trip, buy designer bags, eat out.
Right. And I relate to this because there's certain things I spend money on a regular basis that some people may be like, oh, I'd never spend my money on that. You know, like I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. So, you know, every now and then I'll buy like merchandise and stuff from him. But, you know, some people don't want to do that, right? Like they'd rather get their nails done. Like everybody spends money differently. And just because you see someone spending more money on one thing, that doesn't mean they're spending it in other places too. They may save that money for one particular thing. And I think that's why it's like, you know, you can listen to what people say online. Like some people say, I'm not in Disney debt, but they may be, right? Like you're just going based off of what they're saying. Until you look at their bank account, you don't know, right? And so it's just like, I understand the concern that people have because I agree that, you know, you shouldn't just be carelessly spending money, especially thousands upon thousands of dollars for a trip you can't afford. I wouldn't recommend that, but people are going to do what they're going to do. And I think this hatred towards Disney adults is misplaced. I actually think I got a comment saying like, why don't we show that same anger and frustration we have for Disney adults to the corporation itself, to Disney itself for their problems? And I gotta agree with that, you know, I really do. And I think Disney adults definitely get most of the backlash, and not all of them are doing these kinds of things, okay? I feel like if you're able to actually pay it off, that's one thing. But if you don't pay it off and then you keep adding to it, that can obviously become a serious problem.
Deep dive into this really interesting subculture of Disney adults, you know, the people who visit the theme parks 1, 2, 3, 4 times or more every single year, how they pay for it, why they do it, and this incredible piece from the New Yorker really delivers in a bunch of different ways. The piece is called Are Disney Adults the Happiest Debtors on Earth? And it includes a survey that finds that 1 in 4 adults go into debt in order to pay for their Disney vacations. The article shocks you right from the beginning. It starts focused on this college freshman who decides that she wants to relive her childhood and, you know, in the middle of college somehow finds the time to visit Disney World 7 times within 2 years and goes from having $15,000 when she starts college to having $5 at the end of those visits. Another person you read about goes $17,000 into debt after visiting Disney World 10 times over 5 years. One person talks about how, you know, they worry about the prices of gas, groceries, paying for a cup of coffee, and yet when they're in Disney World, it's Disney money. It's a Disney coffee. It's somehow suspends their world.
They play into that. They absolutely do. A lot of things do. It's not just Disney though. And I feel like when people target just Disney adults, I don't think you should be going into debt over Disney. No. But there's also other things that people go into debt for that are not essential things. I mean, something like medical debt, you cannot help that, right? That's literally out of your control. Either you go and get the help you need or you suffer. I would hate to be in this situation. I would never want to put myself in this situation and have this much debt over something that I could actively choose not to participate in. But it's not just Disney adults that go through this. I mentioned sports fans in my first video. I know for a fact sports fans have debt as well from getting those front row seats. Okay. I feel like a lot of times, especially when it's with women that are Disney adults, people are a lot more prone to be judgmental and sometimes even hateful. I understand constructive criticism, but sometimes people are just straight up hateful to these people. And I talked about fangirl culture as well, that, you know, when men are really excited for sports and have like literally the, you know, team on their shirt or the number of the player they like, I feel like they don't get anywhere near as much criticism as a young girl who likes a boy group. I definitely think there's some misogyny in that. And I feel like with Disney adults, it's, someone in my comments said, low-hanging fruit, and people go after that. And I agree, but I definitely think having $5 to your name after going to Disney 7 times is a problem. I'm not denying that. I am not. But do I think sometimes people use this as a justification to be cruel? Yes. Constructive criticism and being cruel are two different things. This person actually is at a protest for Disney in solidarity with Palestine after Disney donated $2 million, like I shared earlier.
What Disney's mission is supposed to be, they're basically contradicting it.
I'm here with Sabrina. What did you just do right now?
I quit.
Working at Disney?
Yeah.
Why so?
Because I couldn't participate in knowing the work that I'm doing is providing them money to send to children.
$2 million that they sent, they could have used it on the employees.
Absolutely. They don't pay a livable wage, or you have to burn yourself out. And you also have these policies that are held against you when human things happen to you.
Normally people are so afraid to lose their jobs, and you just took the initial step and did what most people would not do, and they're so afraid of losing it. What gave you the guts to just leave?
My camera overheated, so sorry that video got cut off, but basically what she goes on to say at the end is, you know, she is in a survival state after quitting her job. Most likely she doesn't have anything else lined up after quitting on the spot. And, you know, she says, my morals are more important than keeping this job. I really love this, but at the same time, it is unfortunate to know that a lot of us, not even just people at Disney, but a lot of people are working for huge corporations, working for places where our morals don't align. I've done it, but you know why I did it? Because I needed a job. And unfortunately, that's the reality for a lot of people. People need jobs. You know, people work at Amazon. People work at Walmart. Unfortunately, these systems that run on people need these careers in order to have a place to live and get groceries. People are scared. If I don't go to work, protest and don't go to work. I also understand people that say, F this. I don't care. The system's rigged. I'm going to this protest. I quit my job at Disney. I don't stand for any of this. Some people don't have the privilege to do that because they have a family to provide for, and they're scared if they do that, they're going to lose their job. Then what are they going to do? Who's going to fund their lifestyle? Everybody's struggling for the most part. People don't just have money to give people to get them a place to stay, right? So it's like, it's your responsibility to make sure you have the money. And it's just, it is complicated. I wish I had the answer on what to do, but the reason people are still clocking in is because they want to have a place to live. And if that means clocking into Disney, that unfortunately means clocking into Disney. I do have respect for this woman for leaving, and especially knowing she probably doesn't have anything lined up. You know, I respect her for that, and I hope she's gonna be all right. I hope she was able to find another job and she's doing well. I understand her frustration. There's no excuse for children to die. It doesn't matter where the children are. You know, that's why I love Miss Rachel. Shout out to Miss Rachel. She actually cares about children when they're born. Hey, pro-lifers. Yeah, she actually cares about children that exist on this earth right now, no matter where they are. And we need more of that. There is definitely a empathy crisis, and there's no excuse for what is, you know, happening in Palestine. There's absolutely no excuse for it. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to read comments at the end of this video, you guys. It's so long. The next few things I want to show, it says POV, a week in the life of a Disney horror turn anti-Disney. This is the overconsumption part. I got a lot of comments about overconsumption. I agree with that as well. I feel like a lot of, you know, Disney adults or just people that enjoy Disney, they have a lot of stuff. Look at this person's room. Now, I think this person actually worked at Disney. So that's another reason why they have this much stuff. But I mean, it's a lot. Also talking about overconsumption and influencers, I got some comments saying, you know, I don't really mind that people like going to Disney and get emotional about it, but I think recording it and posting it online is cringe. And influencers that make it like their whole personality, they think it's cringe. But this person's hot take on TikTok says, Disney has got to be one of the biggest contributors to our overconsumption problem. The amount of merchandise that is put out is unbelievable and not sustainable. I cringe now every time I see a video captioned new Disney merch. A lot of it is overhyped by influencers and not worth it. I've never seen a lot of this stuff be worn or used by people in the parks. I understand wanting to get your souvenirs or collecting your one thing, but at some point, things just become way too much. And this is not just a Disney problem. I've seen a lot of people that I'm just like, I cannot imagine having this much stuff. And one, people can't even afford this much stuff. A lot of people are struggling just to afford groceries. So I think, you know, especially with influencers, I think the number one critique is they are out of touch with reality. And I absolutely agree with that. You know, and Disney influencers, I feel like some of them, especially the ones that show all of this expensive stuff they buy or they're gifted. If you have that money, you have that money. If you're gifted Disney products for free, you are. But it's important to remember that people are struggling, and I think you should be considerate of that. I've seen it especially with makeup influencers. I do think when you are posting like huge hauls and unboxings, it's kind of tone deaf right now. Posting it online in this climate we are living in, where people are working 3 to 4 jobs just to afford childcare, afford groceries, afford rent, afford to pay off their home, afford gas, because now gas is going up again, of course, because our administration is a joke. Groceries are looked at as a luxury right now, and that's a problem. All right, let's get into these comments. This is a perspective I really appreciated in my comments. This person is actually autistic, and it says, I don't see the issue with Disney adults. It doesn't hurt anyone. Personally, I would probably be considered such, as I've been to Disneyland many times. They have an annual pass. At one time they had that, and going makes me very happy. Last time I went was for my birthday in January. It's sad, but a lot of people that are often made fun of for having intense cringe interest, both in childhood and adulthood, are neurodivergent. I can relate to that. Sometimes I actually, when I get insurance again, I would love to be tested for that, because sometimes I wonder. I'm not saying I am, because I have not been diagnosed, but I genuinely wonder, because I relate to your comment, honestly. Cringe culture regarding people like Disney adults goes back to ableism. I'm autistic myself and have been made fun of for having intense interests like Michael Jackson. Same. People should be allowed to just live their lives as long as they're not hurting anyone. Exactly. Do what makes you happy. Thank you for making this video, and thank you for watching. It's cringe to people who are able to actually be a kid. I literally cry every time I feel real joy. That's how bad my childhood was. That's true for a lot of people. It's why you see these grown adults cry. They're finally feeling happiness that has been denied to them for one reason or another. Disney, the media itself, not the company. Yeah, I feel like the artistic side of Disney is what people like, and many people that love that side of Disney, they don't like the company, and this person is an example of that. I have to agree. I think there's many great movies and songs that have come out of Disney, but you can like those things and still criticize and not financially support the company, right? Turn to physical media. Buy secondhand instead of buying directly from Disney themselves. Like, there's ways to get around it and still enjoy Disney, right? And that's what I'm going to choose to do personally. So it can bring back the magic of a time that one may have forgotten, and it overwhelms a lot of people. It's not weird to feel your emotions, but it is weird to police someone else's. I agree with that. I think when an adult cries or shows a really intense emotion, people can kind of associate it with them being a child. And it's like, if you're just having a moment, you know, everybody cries. I'm an adult, I cry. Again, as long as you're not ruining anyone else's experience by being obnoxious, you know, hogging someone else's experience to put yourself as the center of attention. I feel like a lot of the adults I showed, they're not doing that, you know, in part one, especially the ones that, you know, their children gifted them something they never got to have as a child. Like, I find that very touching, and them crying is not them trying to make the situation about themselves, even though really the situation is about them. The whole video is about, you know, the parents' reaction and, you know, just feeling touched seeing their reaction. But yeah, I think some people do tend to police, particularly Disney adults. I think those are all the comments I've wanted to read, because I think I included the other ones throughout this video on the screen. This is so long. My camera literally went from like 70% to 15% recording this, but I hope you guys enjoy it. I wanted to show the other, you know, perspectives and experiences and just people's either distaste towards Disney or their constructive criticism, which a lot of it I think is extremely valid, you guys. I will not deny that. I really do think the criticism for the corporation that is Disney is valid, okay? But I also think people that enjoy the, you know, entertainment side of it, like the movies, the music, the merchandise, like there are ways you can enjoy that without funding Disney, right? And don't be ashamed of your interests. You know, there's plenty of Disney songs I like. There's things I like that people don't understand, think it's cringe. But really, if the worst thing you are at the end of the day is cringe, I think you're doing pretty good, you know? There's a lot of awful people out there. Thank you guys so much, you know, for enjoying my last video, and to anyone that followed me and watched. I really appreciate it, and I hope I'll be back sooner rather than later on this channel, and I'm gonna go before my camera overheats for the millionth time since I'm in my car. Bye guys! Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts.